Hi, TJ.
Greetings. How are you,
Yeah,
Dr. Indy?
no, I'm doing okay. Just good to see you. Let's give a few minutes for others to join, and then we can start.
Excellent.
Yeah. We'll certainly start in 2 minutes.
Dr. Indy, I don't need on like my camera, right?
No, that's fine. If you don't need to be on in camera if you don't want to be.
Hey, Dr. Indy, is it okay if I watch the Zoom meeting on my phone because I'm trying to pull up on my computer and
That's fine. You can watch it on your phone. But just
okay,
remember to send me, as we agreed in class, your info.
my info
Yeah,
or do the chat or
yeah, through the chat. We'll be starting
uh,
in about 30 seconds.
send it to the chat.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. I would like to start by seizing this opportunity to welcome all of you in attendance, and thank you equally for coming. I want to thank TJ for accepting to talk to the Tuskegee community, to talk to the world. I know TJ has been doing a whole lot in the background, and we need to know exactly what is happening. The Tuskegee University Interdisciplinary Seminar Series is a forum and a platform that brings to the community and the university the best and brightest of the Black minds to share with the world what they have been doing. And this program has been going on for the past 13 to 14 years. And it has been thanks to the unrelenting support of some organizations, such as the Andrew Mellon Foundation, the Tuskegee University Faculty Senate, the Tuskegee University Office of the Provost, the National Park Services, the College of Arts and Sciences, College of Agriculture, Environment and Nutrition Sciences, the Department of Modern Languages and Communications and Philosophy, and recently supported by the Pan-African Writers Association and the Writers of African Origins in the Diaspora. Having acknowledged all of these sponsors, I think I would like us to start by calling to the podium one of the best and brightest minds that Tuskegee has in communication to introduce our speaker to us. And I am calling on Dr., as I call my students, Dr. Elena Zelaya. Dr. Zelaya, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Elena Zelaya. I'm a sophomore communications major, and today I'll be reading the bio of Mr. TJ Loftin. TJ Loftin is one of the most important people in the history of the auto industry. He helped stop gang violence in his age group by inspiring his peers to build out the lowrider industry, replacing illegal lifestyles with thriving businesses that created hundreds of jobs and opportunities. TJ is a manufacturer, inventor, 3-time best-selling author, community activist, and international speaker. His work on cars has put cars in movies, TV shows, and rap videos. His latest is TJ's Toolbox, the powerful social and economic effects of the auto and classic car industries that have created countless opportunities for wealth, entrepreneurship, and community development. For decades, cars have not only been a means of transportation, but also a cultural bridge that brought people together and fueled billion-dollar industries from manufacturing to entertainment. As we move into the future of transportation with electric cars, flying cars, and automation, our communities must be prepared to understand both the opportunities and the risks these changes bring.
Thank you very much for that brilliant introduction. And I understand Brother TJ Loftin will be talking to us about the backbone of innovation and wealth building. Brother TJ, you have the floor.
Okay, how do I share a presentation here?
All right, just go below your screen where you see share. Then you click there and you can select the screen you want to share.
I don't, oh, right there, there we go.
Below your Zoom screen, don't you see the share button?
I got you, I got you.
Okay.
Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Indy, I really appreciate you and what you're doing here with this, and I appreciate everyone who's participating here. This is an amazing opportunity for me, and I'm humbled by the opportunity to share. Okay. My background is I'm a celebrity car builder and business owner and turned public speaker. I decided it was time to start coming out of the shadows and start sharing what's going on with the automotive industry letting people know we're not just a bunch of mechanics, but we are celebrity car builders, businessmen, manufacturers, patent owners, etc. And I recently discovered some information here when I became while I've been speaking on the history of the automobiles. I discovered, which if you can see here, the hidden roots between Tuskegee and the auto industry. So I'll be sharing some of that today. This is me growing up in Compton, California, sitting on the hood of my lowrider. Back then, I think this was 1990, 89, 90. I was sitting in front of my mom's house on the hood of what was to become a multi-billion-dollar industry. I was like one of the main driving forces behind this industry. So I'll go on. I'm an auto parts manufacturer. I manufacture car parts for those cars. I was the biggest parts manufacturer, African-American in the world, as well as a lowrider shop. So these are some of the cars that we build in my industry: cars, custom motorcycles, and things like this. A lot of people see the cars and never bother to ask how did the guy earn that built that car for him or her. We look at the money that's being spent and think that's such a waste. He probably doesn't own a home, or they're wasting money, but don't realize this is a multi-billion-dollar, if not trillion-dollar industry when you go from classic cars to lowriders to dunks to muscle cars. These are all in different industries, to custom motorcycles. Each one of these is a multi-billion-dollar industry each. So because we use this industry to stop gang violence and things like that, now you'll see the government decided to put a ban on cruising in 1998, and 30 years later, we had it overturned in 2023. So here we go again. By 2024, we backed again to sitting down with politicians and debating the fact of us coming together and running businesses. This is me when I helped us pioneer the stopping of the gang violence in my age range. The guy on the left is the president of the Individuals Car Club. They have 19 chapters around the world. Lowriding is global, so wherever there's people who lowride, they want to become a part of the Compton chapter, a Compton Car Club. The guy on the right, he has about 7. He's the president of the Other Side Car Club. He has about 7 chapters around the world, and they're constantly growing. And I brought those two together. So this is my this was my business called Mode. I've owned 3 successful businesses: Express Gold Plating, Motor Suspension, and Compton Wire Wheels. I was the largest lowrider shop in the world. As you can see, I have 2 businesses on the right-hand side. That was back. These are old numbers, so please don't dial them. This was back in my days when I was running ads in the global magazines. So through this industry, it enabled me to deal with a lot of people who had manufactured something, who had some type of a skill, and I was able to hire them, contract them out, do business with them, or help them start a business. So I am directly responsible over my last 35, almost 37 years for helping over 100 people start successful businesses and indirectly helping thousands. This is a picture of me in Japanese Lowrider magazine, which at the time was sold in 4 countries to 1.2 million people. I have the history of being the one of very few people, African-American men, that's ever been in Japanese Lowrider magazine. This is a picture of me and some Japanese collect together. We've built and shipped a lot of cars to Japan. Some of these gentlemen, families, have names of cars that you all drive. They said they didn't want to take over the family business. They wanted to do something they can create on their own. And when they saw lowriders and custom cars, classic cars, and custom motorcycles, they saw it, that gave them that opportunity to do that. So I was one of their biggest contributors, one of their biggest suppliers. So I started off with Japan and ended up doing business with over 14 countries: the Germans, the Australians, New Zealanders, Dubai, Qatar. I've shipped cars pretty much wherever you see a rapper go rap. I've shipped cars there because there's always someone that says, I want a car just like that one in the movie Friday or the one in that Snoop Dogg video. And I was most likely the guy that was going to build it and ship it to them. So this is some cars going out on the ships. A lot of people don't realize that People don't buy other countries don't really buy American cars. And lowriders are the biggest, lowriders, custom cars, classic cars are the biggest things that's exported from America. We ship more lowriders out of America than Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler ship all together. No one really buys their cars, but they love our custom cars. This is a ship that I think this one went to Japan. I also worked with the to Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum. It was time to start giving back because I sat back and helped a lot of people become very successful. So when you become successful, you got to start giving back, to your community. It wasn't just about myself and, oh, I made some money, let me go buy me a fancy house, a fancy car. It was about, we got to give back. So I partnered with my buddy here who owned Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum, who was a part of Tuskegee. They called it Tuskegee Airmen West back then. He no longer has that, by the way. But I learned a lot from him. He became my coach. And he's the one who taught me a lot about the Tuskegee Airmen and the history and the legacy, introduced me to the living Tuskegee Airmen back in 2009 all the way to 17, I believe it was. And we changed the world from me being there. We helped to change the world. Pilot classes went through. He collaborated. I connected him to collaborate with Tomorrow's Aeronautical Museum and Celebrity Helicopters, partner with the Black College Expo, and that is the reason why your school has pilot classes in it right now, because the Black College Expo is the voice of education. So they have pilot classes beginning, and they have schools that are being started because of the relationship I had right here. So this is me with some of the students there. These are my students, I call them, my mentees, Jegnas. Isaiah Cooper was the first 16-year-old to fly around America by himself. He made it in the Guinness Book of World Records. He also became Essence Magazine's one of 100 most influential African Americans in the world. So because of our great success and us giving back to the community, the Governor Newsom, currently in office in California, he decided, since he couldn't come in and since they couldn't burn down our industry, since they couldn't stop us and do all the things they wanted to, they said the best thing they can do is go in and pass laws to try and ban the whole industry by itself. So it's been an ongoing battle to maintain an industry. So again, here we go in January 24, after we fixed the ban on classic car, overturned the ban on classic cars, the very next year, they decided they wanted to sit down and talk to the heads of lowriding. As you can see on the left, you see them saying, there's no parking here on Crenshaw from Saturday evening at 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday morning, because lowriders cruised down Crenshaw Boulevard every Sunday back then. That was the capital, the holy grail of lowriding was driving your car down Crenshaw Boulevard. So that car, these three cars on the bottom right, that car on the right there is from 175,000 to 250,000. That car on the very left there, the pinkish red one, that car is worth almost $500,000, depending on what they have in there. So a lot of people don't understand, we're not just turning wrenches as mechanics, we're building cars and shipping them around the world, because nobody ever asked, who builds Rick Ross's cars? Who builds my favorite singer's cars? Who built that president's custom cars? So this is me. I also became an advisor to the Compton School District and wanted to help to give back so we can get some things accomplished in Compton. Me and the sister on the left named Dr. Jackie, she was the one who recruited me and said, there's a lot of famous people from Compton like you, and I just wanted to see if you guys can help out to give back to the next generation. So of course I did. So I was able to, she drugged me around Compton, had me speaking at different schools, and took me back to my old auto class where I graduated from, and I realized it looks like it did when I graduated. So of course I wanted to come back and help to rebuild it and redo it. So we ended up redoing all the schools in Compton, the automotive class, which pathway, and they decided to, when I brought in some of the other famous people, Dr. Dre helped to turn around, and Dr. Dre and Master P turned around, and we started to rebuild all the schools in Compton, the high school. So this is a brand new school, Compton High School. If you Google it, you'll see that it was torn down and rebuilt brand new from the ground up. So next we're going to do Centennial High School, and after that we're going to go to the Dominguez High School. But one thing I realized is the people who start off doing amazing things are not always going to be at the finish line to receive the credit for doing those amazing things. So just like I found out in history, all those great people that that created different inventions and things, they weren't always there to take the credit for them, or nor did they reap the benefits from them. So this is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Sabi. He pulled me in. Once he found out what I did with low riding, he recruited me to help him with, he was like George Washington Carver. He was all about the plants, pulling the plants out of the ground to cure all types of diseases. So him and George Washington Carver would have got along. They would have been best friends if they were in the same timeline, because George Washington Carver knew everything about plants, and Dr. Sabi did as well. That's why he was able to cure almost every disease. He was able to cure every disease by using plants. He was arrested and said he was practicing medicine without a license, but he proved that he didn't use medicine. He only used plants. So years later, I was invited to Tuskegee by Cultural Centers International, CCI. Shout out to Dr. Candy. I appreciate what she did for me. And once she found out what I was working on and doing my research of making a documentary, I started researching history, and a lot of things, I started researching history for cars, and a lot of things ended up pointing at Tuskegee University. So that blew my mind, and she convinced me to come out there and see it in person. And then they took me over to the George Washington Carver's to his museum, and I saw that he invented plastic, paper, gasoline, etc. So that was kind of like falling into a rabbit's hole. And I was here for 3 months going through Tuskegee's archives, researching things. So as a person that's attempted to be locked out of the industry, locked out of history, because a lot of people are fighting to lock my name out of history, because I'm one of the most known. They say I'm the most important person in the history of lowriding because of my accomplishments and because of my love for the industry, because of I'm like the protector of the classic car and lowrider industry. Something goes wrong, I'm going to be the guy that got to go to DC and fight to protect it. I'm going to be the one that's got to go deal with the police. I'm going to be the one that's going to go make sure we're getting a better price for whatever it is we're doing. Whatever we're doing. If I got to talk to people from Africa, fly to Africa to create a relationship so we can manufacture something we use, then that's going to be my job. So this is a picture of me sitting there in the archives of Tuskegee, and me sitting there going to Tuskegee University completely changed my life, because for the first time, I actually had some receipts, some evidence showing the history of African American and our inventions. So I'm literally sitting there trying to fight the tears back to, out of excitement, like, wow, it's in writing. It's like, wow, that's why I'm writing books myself, trying to create a history so others like myself in the future can turn around and follow and pick up where I left off at. The big thing about this is the Tuskegee archives is people like me never knew this place existed. We never knew about that. I'd heard about Tuskegee, but I didn't know the history of Tuskegee. But I was able to figure out that Tuskegee was one of the founders of inventing cars. When I looked at this list here of inventions through Carver, axle grease, that's for a car. You cannot have created so many inventions about a car unless you was working with someone who was inventing cars, creating cars. So I connected C.R. Patterson and Frederick Patterson to Booker T. Washington and Lewis Adams. And that's when they decided to start the Tuskegee Normal School. And then if you look up, I've done a lot of research on, I got a lot to talk about that. That's why I do a lot of lectures about it. But so going back to me hanging out with the Tuskegee Airmen in Compton, it was kind of like when your father was here or your granddad was here, and you would always sit around listening to the stories that your granddad told you. It was an honor for me to go back to Tuskegee and actually be on the field, walk through the airport museum where some of my elders sat at, and they always told me about Tuskegee and where they came from. They told me where the name came from, but to actually be there in person, it totally changed everything. So this is kind of going back to hidden in plain sight. This is hanging in George Washington Carver's museum, where they're telling us this is the students building the Jessup wagon. If you look at this, if you look at this, there's a front seat and there's a back seat. This is not a Jessup wagon, this is a car. So I always say sometimes people will tell you one thing, but they will hide things in plain sight, right in your face. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you won't understand it. So this is not a horse drawing carriage. This is actually a car, which Tuskegee was one of the founders, one of the first people working with C.R. Patterson. They were the ones that worked out. There was African-American men building cars a long time ago, but they weren't practical. They weren't working. You know, they were like one-time use and they'd break down. But Tuskegee, George Washington Carver, and Lewis Adams and C.R. Patterson, as well as his son, Frederick Patterson, they're the ones who figured everything out and worked the kinks out. And they produced an amazing running car, as you can see right here. But history doesn't tell that. If you understand it, if you understand the language that they use, they're basically telling you. But if you're not an automotive person or a tradesperson, this picture will go right over your head and you'll just believe what it says. But me being a car builder, you know, I looked at some of the pictures and it said, oh, this is when they upgraded to a mechanical use of the Jessup wagon. I said mechanical was an automobile without a horse. That's called a horseless carriage back then. So African Americans in Tuskegee University was some of the first people that manufactured cars. But history has been buried. Okay, give me 1 second here. Looking at Carver's invention on paint, this is a gentleman by the name of Doc. This is one of the baddest painters that the world has ever seen. He invented this thing that we're looking at, all these patterns and graphics on lowriders, motorcycles, custom cars, classic cars. This man had people who would pay him. They would line up and he'd pay him a $5,000 or $10,000 deposit, and they would go on a waiting list for him to personally do the work on their car. So he would have loved to meet George Washington Carver. And actually, he should be buried up there. He should also be buried up there with George Washington Carver, because this man, when he started doing these graphics and patterns on those cars, he taught other people how to do them. And that completely changed the world, because whenever you can come back and teach someone something and they can go out and use it and make money off of it and start a business from it and start classes teaching others, that's what you call a business owner. And that's things that we need more of. This is Joe Ellis, rest in peace. He's another brother. He is the one, put it like this. He is the baddest car builder on the planet. Elon Musk couldn't figure out how to work those Teslas or build them. He had to call Joe Ellis to come in there and help him. Joe Ellis won awards that only white people have won before. He was the baddest car builder on the planet. Now he's rest in peace. So when I produced my book, CCI, this is Dr. Candy, she also made arrangements for me to come out, and I thank her for bringing me out and showing me things, but she also got me in front of the president, and that was a whole nother game changer, because I was able to share my research and data with him as well. So more to come. I love his dream. He's talking about the Tuskegee Renaissance. I just want to make sure we include the trades in there, and let's go back to let's take Booker T's words and go back to where we came from. Cast your bucket where you stand. I also was at Tuskegee. This is me in front of this. I was there with Dr. Candy in Cultural Centers International. I was invited out again, and they showed me this right by Booker T's grave of the statue of Booker T. Washington. It says, "We shall prosper in proportion as we learn to dignify and glorify labor." Well, that touched my heart so much, because my industry is labor driven, it's trade driven. A lot of my guys everybody in that industry became very successful. They have millionaires and billionaires, but if you're not making a high six figures, then you're doing something wrong in these industries of painting, construction, of manufacturing cars. to come to Tuskegee and see the architecture students, it really opens my eyes up. So I would love to work with them. I went over there, was able to go in there and give a lecture and talk to them about the automotive industry, the classic car industry, as well as painting. Not painting, but building houses. Like right now in California, that's where I live at. In Palisades, we lost over 13,000 homes were burned to the ground. So we literally have 13,000 plus families that were looking for an architect, desperately looking for architects, looking for construction workers, labor. They're desperately looking for labor. So it touched my heart to see that we actually have an architecture school. So I wanted to make sure it's very important that we get some of these students to tap into Tuskegee and put them in the places that they need to be, kind of get away from the job market. And we need more business owners because there's too much opportunity here, following in Booker T's footsteps. I know I don't want to run out of time here.
No, you have time. You have time.
Okay. So the automotive and the construction industries are the two largest industries that I deal with, that I've seen the most wealth created from. These people who learn these industries are necessarily not coming home looking for a job. They're coming home starting businesses if they are in the right places. But in our community, 90 times out of 10, we're not in the right place. Our people don't get the real information. So I'm one of the people who has all the information, and you only hear me talking about entrepreneurship because I believe in creating jobs, it's in creating business owners. No, that's what I do. I create business owners. I identify money when I see it. That's why when I went to Tuskegee and I saw Booker T's plan, the first time I heard of Booker T. Washington was when someone called me Booker T. Well, you're doing your Booker T thing, TJ? Say, TJ, you over there you sound like Booker T with all of that. You want to keep the dollar here, work with what we got stuff, And I never knew who Booker T. Washington was. He wasn't taught in schools where I grew up in Compton, California, the Los Angeles area. We have the schools there, but they never taught the history. So when I was actually there, it blew my mind to hear Booker T talking about cast your bucket where you stand and basically use what you got. And to find out he was a lover of the trades, that really blessed my heart, because this is the people that saved our communities. These are the people that's doing the developing and rebuilding our communities. So I just feel like that's why it's just important to let people know what's going on. So it was for me to go to Tuskegee, and I feel like someone told me I uncovered dirt off of Tuskegee that was hiding the history. And one thing I want the students to learn and understand here today is George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, Lewis Adams created a situation to where people that we look up to, people that we respect and appreciate for being very wealthy, they wouldn't be wealthy if it wasn't for George Washington Carver's inventions. I drive, no disrespect to anyone, but as I walk through Tuskegee University, I look at the wall, I see the Rockefeller building. And I know I've researched Rockefeller. I've been following him for years, and it just blew my mind to find out that Rockefeller, he owns gasoline. He is behind all the gasoline around the world, the gas stations. But George Washington Carver invented gasoline. So if it wasn't for George Washington Carver, there wouldn't be a Rockefeller worth billions, trillions of dollars. I looked up Carnegie, and Carnegie owns, he was the first to buy into the steel industry. Once he realized that we were about to start manufacturing cars and we were going to get away from wood cars, like wooden carriages, horse and carriages were made of wood back in the days, just like the Jessup wagon was made of wood. They decided George Washington, Booker T. and C.R. Patterson, actually it was Lewis Adams and C.R. Patterson came together because they were both metal men. They both worked with steel. But Lewis Adams, he worked with tin. Well, tin is a very thin steel. So they decided they wanted to move away from wood, which was heavy, and put a light steel on these new things that was going to be called horseless carriages. So when Carnegie got wind of what they were working on, instead of him fighting to try to make a car himself, he decided to jump and take control of the whole industry by buying into the steel. So he wanted every car manufacturer that ever was going to exist would have to buy from him. So to George Washington Carver was the one who figured that out. Anything that came from the dirt, from a tree, from a plant, George Washington Carver was the one that figured out what uses it could be. Steel was another one of those things. So for Carnegie to come in and buy the whole steel company, it was because of things that Tuskegee students or Tuskegee teachers had created or invented. So I just wanted y'all to know, y'all come from a very powerful, the most powerful school in history. You guys created whole neighborhoods. Was the first Black Wall Street as I've done my research. And I also challenged the students to go into the archives and, look up the Negro Business League. It's all there. I've been out sitting in that archive for almost 3 months. And the stuff I saw in there is just mind blowing. I could be there if I lived. I'm thinking about moving out here and just spending 2 or 3 days a week sitting in those archives, because stuff like that you don't find. That is unprecedented, a gold mine for entrepreneurship. It is to find out your history and what's going on. And as a manufacturer and a person that owns patents, that fights with patents, the patents office every day, to find out that what Tuskegee had done through George Washington Carver, Lewis Adams, and Booker T. Washington, that blows my mind. But anyway, so I'm also the national gentrification expert. So just like Booker T. Washington, I found out why people call me doing my Booker T thing. I found out what that meant. When I got into the archives, that's when I found out. I realized that I found some books of George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington and Lewis Adams traveling the world, bringing what they call the Black print. I call it the Black print, showing people this is how you can build houses. You can use brick made from hemp. Bricks made that way we don't have to worry about the houses being burnt down, and you can use these plants to manufacture these cars. So that blows my mind. So anyway, any questions, everyone? I could talk all day, but I decided let me go ahead and.
Hello. Am I supposed to raise my hand first? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I would like to, before you go ahead, Dr. Wright, I would like to be sure that we follow some protocol. If you are to come to ask a question, please come on camera. Come on camera and ask your question. Okay? You'll
Okay,
come on
I'm
camera
driving.
and
I'm driving right now.
One quick, now I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to say I'd like to send a shout out to Sabrina Wright. She was the one who pushed me to write the book, the children's book about Tuskegee and things like that. She helped me out with that. So probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. So I want to make sure we give credit to those. Dr. Candy as well, bringing me out here, making it possible. My apologies, but go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. So if you have a question, there is the raise hand symbol. Raise your hand. Ask your question. If you are not coming on camera, drop the question in the chat box and I'll read the question for TJ.
Okay, someone can go before me because I'm driving, but I'm gonna pull over.
Okay.
Hello. I can't hear.
Any questions while we're waiting for Alyssa Wright?
Yes, yes. Okay. I'm pulling over now. Okay. So
Okay.
first off, hi, my name is Alyssa Wright. I am from
Greetings.
Altadena, California.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
okay, this is more so of a comment. Well, yes, comment and question. I did lose my house. Me and my family, we did lose our
Condolences.
house in the Eden fire.
Condolences.
Um, Yes, but I do want to applaud you for coming here. Well, not coming here, but well, yes, coming here. But getting on this Zoom call to inform us and present this information to us. What advice would you have, or what advice would you give to someone who is looking into entrepreneurship?
Like Booker T told us to cast our bucket where we are and ask ourselves, what are we using? Like you're in Altadena, starting an architecture business, a construction company, bringing like I got guys with dump trucks making massive amounts of money there in Altadena. That's gonna be about a 50-year gold mine of people rebuilding their houses. So anything in construction is huge. HVAC, anything, so like Tuskegee, we need to be getting some of those architects on the plane, sending them there. We need to get the construction science class prepared to go there because like I got friends literally that went out and bought dump trucks and they have people they decided that since their house burnt down or didn't burn down but was smoked out, they decided that okay, well they have a view home that's only 25% they can see the view, but there's a huge mountain behind them. So they decided to hire my buddies and have them dig that mountain out the way, knock that mountain down. So I got a guy who's making over $200,000 just moving dirt with his dump truck so that they can increase their view from 25% to 75, 100% view. But there's a lot of opportunities in Altadena, Tuskegee, and Pasadena. I'm not Tuskegee, but Pasadena, Altadena, and Pacific Palisades. There is a huge industry. As far as like Dr. Savy, the vegan food, that's a huge industry. You don't have any real chains of vegan food. Manufacturing. Going back to the garden like Carver. Everybody's trying to get food out of the dirt now. Their gardens. So the agriculture class at the ski, you guys are in a great position. Take those agriculture classes because the people are getting tired of all this fake food being produced. I hope I answered your question. That's just a little bit.
You did. I do have a smaller question. Where I'm an elementary education major, so
Okay.
completely different side. But where can I purchase your children's literature book?
tjloftin.com. Or you can go to my website, same as gentrification.com.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, thank you. I appreciate y'all. I should be able to put that in the comments. Let me see. Can somebody type that into the comments, gentrification.com? Please. Gratitude. Can we pin that? Any other questions from anyone?
Questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Zelaya.
So, what would you say is like the biggest mistake you've made, and what did you learn from it? Like, how did you move forward?
The biggest mistake I made was not knowing what a patent, trademark, and copyright was. If I would know what a patent, trademark, and copyright was because of all the inventions I created, I'd be building Tuskegee a brand new school right now. Or you'd have a building with my name on it, most likely. That's that kind of wealth. I've invented things that has become standard in classic cars and low riding. So patent, that's the biggest thing I regret. I didn't realize it until I told an attorney, I'm tired of people stealing my ideas, and she didn't believe me. And once I proved it, then she dropped those words on me. You should have patented. I'm like, I was never taught about a patent. And to be honest with you, I thought it was interesting that more people in the 1800s coming from slavery knew what patents were and how to do it than we did in 2025. How about that, y'all? I want y'all to let that sink in. There have more patents from the 1800s during the Gilded Age than they have right now. So if I knew what a patent was, I'd be at Tuskegee writing checks. Y'all wouldn't have to pay y'all wouldn't be paying for student loans. That's what I learned. That's what I regret right there.
All right. Thanks, TJ. There is a question on the chat from Kaya. She says, what accomplishment felt the most rewarding to you?
The accomplishment that felt the most rewarding was when I introduced myself as a billionaire friend to sit down with the Black College Expo and talk with them. And he didn't want to because he didn't feel that they had any money. He thought all the money came from white companies. So when I finally convinced them to come together, the College Expo invested in them. And before I know it, they became partners. And now they started teaching pilot classes, putting pilot classes in all the schools. So to see that Tuskegee got $5.4 million to bring the pilot classes back, that really blessed my heart. You know what I'm saying? That's like a teardrop in my eye, but now I'm fighting to make sure I get my credit for that. So in California, we got Aviation Academy. That's a brand new school built from the ground up. All over America, they're replacing like traditional education and bringing in pilot classes because we're in the age of, we're moving into flying cars right now. So if you guys got time, look up the word EVs, eVTOLs. Like in 2026, next year, we're going to have flying cars. They're getting prepared for the Olympics. So they're going to be, instead of having a park and ride, so you can go to work, corporations are going to be parking in, their employees are going to be parking and flying their people to work, to the office because of the cost of living. So I felt that to bring people up and make sure our people was up to date, that really made me feel accomplished, like I've done something. Outside of helping so many of the gangs in Compton stop fighting, I helped stop gang violence in Compton because I helped pitch the industry to replace all the illegal money they were making. I pitched it to a lot of those gang members and said, look, if we just stop shooting at each other and killing each other, we can start pushing this lowrider industry because we got all these rap labels, putting lowriders in there, and we're the only ones that know how to build them. So to be standing on Crenshaw Boulevard, Bloods, Crips, and Hispanics standing there side by side singing Kumbaya, and people know I was the one behind that. That's another thing that really touched my heart, puts a tear in my eye, thinking about that, just standing out there side by side with people who used to be enemies. That means a lot to me. So those are some of my accomplishments, I feel.
Thank you very much. And just a little reminder, the question was from Dr. Takea Green. So thank you, Dr. Green, for your question. I hope there are many more questions. After listening to all of these inciting and exciting stories from TJ, please, we want your comments. We want your reaction. Ask questions.
Okay, I have one more question.
Thank you.
Please.
So this one is a bit more lighthearted, but what music videos were your cars featured in?
All of them. I'm kind of like the father of the industry. I was the one who straightened all of that out and organized it and made sure we all got paid the right money. Nobody was working for free. So I took a large stake in a lot of those videos, like the death row stuff. I'll tell you the one that I did not like the most that my car was in, when that West Coast, East Coast rivalry was happening because one of my friends lost his life behind that situation with Suge Knight. They did a video with what's it called, the Dog Pound and Snoop Dogg, where it's called New York, New York, and Snoop Dogg was walking through New York kicking buildings down. That yellow 62 Chevy Impala, that was one of my cars. And I did not like that at all. Like, don't put me in that mess. Y'all better stop that, So I was one of the big voices that pushed to stop all of that nonsense that was going on, because the whole time they were fighting that East Coast, West Coast stuff, I was looking at my bottom line dropping drastically because those rappers bought a lot of cars, But yeah, I was in a lot of stuff. The ones that shocked me was like when Christina Aguilera and people like that wanted to put a lowrider in their videos, it was just different people. Different people would buy lowriders and classic cars that I would least expect. Anybody else?
Good
I see
afternoon.
Dr. Tate is ready.
Yes.
Hey, that's CCI, Cultural
Hi there,
Centers
everyone.
International.
So was excited to, I don't know if you shared that we met at Juneteenth, Atlanta Parade and Music Festival. And so he's just from day one been about, gentrification and empowering Black communities. So once I heard that and, as they say, having come through the academy and getting degrees, but not having a degree in business, it was very helpful to have a listening ear and a trainer. So I was learning from him as he was learning from me. CCI, Culture Centers International, is about historic preservation through the arts. And so we've done work in Atlanta and wanting to connect the Martin Luther King Jr. Drive of Atlanta with the Martin Luther King Junior Drive here in Tuskegee and its economic redevelopment. And so I brought TJ out in order to help me identify some property. And so we are happy to announce that we're going to be opening, CCI will be opening, thanks to him finding the location on Main Street, an art gallery and hopefully creative business accelerator. At homecoming. But the whole idea is to empower students and entrepreneurs in the community to bring their businesses out of their homes and populate the storefronts so that we can have a thriving downtown that is that people want to come and sit on the sidewalk and hold hands going down down the street and go and shop and not just get food and go back home, but sit a spell, have festivals, have Fourth Friday, gallery hopping or shop small businesses. So all of those are possibilities, and they're things that are happening in other small communities because people are tired of of the hustle and bustle of big towns. And so TJ has shown me that. And then also the ambiance of the city. Coming here from Atlanta, I wanted to live and work in community. And so finding a home is on that radar, but it's very difficult to find housing. So we've talked about that. So I'll kick that because he's helping me in that regard. So I'm gonna kick it back to you, but that's just a little bit about what CCI is all about. So thank you.
You guys know, I want to say what's important about Dr. Candy and what she's saying is, I've noticed over the years, there's a big divide between the college educated and the non-college educated, because there's a language, like, I don't know what the difference between 2 and 2 is, for example, so because I didn't go to college or I didn't learn a lot, but I know how to turn a wrench, fix a car, and build a house from the ground up. So for Dr. Candy to sit down and take time, and I call it, she's my translator, just like Lewis Adams was Booker T's translator because he spoke over 8 languages. Candy's my translator through this college curriculum, this college thing that I didn't understand. So if you look at what we've accomplished by her translating for me and telling me what I needed to take the time out to do and go to, and why I need to go sit up at Tuskegee and look at this, look what we've accomplished because of her bringing me there and telling me I need to go research more in the archive. I'm like, who? The archive? Where? I'm not even a real book reader, y'all, but when I tell you I kind of tried to read everything up in there and was taking notes, and I've never done that before, y'all. That just blew my mind. I want to bring out Miss Sabrina. She need to come on out here. She's another one that saw what I was doing and just pushed me. I'm sorry, I be bullied by these women, y'all. Telling me what I should be doing. Sabrina, come on there and speak. Say something. I didn't see me writing kids' books, y'all. I just was like, writing more books. It was hard writing the first one. Come on, Sabrina, say hi.
Hello,
That's my.
I'm not going to go on camera because I can't.
Yeah, famous people never do. I know. Go ahead.
No, it was really amazing writing this children's book. I'm definitely into animation and children's stories. I was happy to come on board and create this, co-write this book with TJ. His time in Tuskegee and the studies that he's done has turned this children's book into something more than just being fanciful and learning about how to build things, but it really is creating a legacy for people to find out how these things all came about. Cars, and we hear about Henry Ford and the Benz guy, but we don't even know that these Black men were doing this stuff, and so we have to be proud of that, and we have to start talking about our legacy, because they are trying to erase that and take all of our books out of circulation because they don't want us to know who we are. So I think this book is not only going to be important for little kids, it's going to be important for parents. Glad I was able to be a part of it, and I think it's the beginning of something awesome.
I appreciate that. It takes a team, everyone. We can't do this by ourselves. It was not just Booker T. Washington. It was Booker T. Washington, Lewis Adams, George Washington Carver, C.R. Patterson, Frederick Patterson. All of these people, it took to make this thing work. So I look at Dr. Candy and CCI and Dr. Indy for bringing me on to make this possible, because we got to get the word out. So it takes a team to do things in this economy. It's not about I, it's not about me, it's about we and us. That's how you build out a community. And just like Miss Cheryl over here, Miss Murray Powell, she's another one, brought me up to Philadelphia to come speak. Could you say a word with us, Miss Cheryl? Or you got any questions? Got to meet the amazing people from around the world. She's an attorney, by the way.
Hi, everyone. Just want to say I love this work that's happening at Tuskegee. Just fantastic research work, academic work. Congratulations to TJ Loftin for being recognized in this way. And he's very invested, and we have to be invested in the past so that we can cultivate a future that we want to see. So nice to meet everyone. And again, big congratulations to you, TJ Loftin.
Thank you. I see one of my assistants, Miss Cole, on here. She's hiding. If you want to say anything. She was a part of the struggle of pushing me, guiding me, traveling around public speaking, you all, and taking the time to patent something, trying to trademark something or seeking things. It takes a teamwork, someone who really understands things. So I'm thankful for Miss Cole and the time she spent pushing me and helping me to, follow through on that trademark, follow through on that copyright, follow through, because these students need to know what you've accomplished, just like I was able to go to the archives, and see it's all there. Oh my God, it's all there. I'm like, I got to go back to the drawing board after I've been in y'all archives. I'm like, I need a museum. I need an archive, I need a Dr. Candy over the archives, working over here. So any more questions, y'all? I don't want to. Thoughts, ideas?
Yeah, I have a question. How are you, TJ?
Excellent.
You're thinking about moving to Tuskegee. When is that going to happen?
Well, I'm waiting. I'm looking for the best opportunity. I'd like to buy some land and build a house, but I probably got to buy a house first. So you got a house for me?
I wish. No, but that would be a great place for you to do all of your work from Tuskegee, because it's really central to everything.
What empowered me the most was I sat back and I just I admire Booker T and Lewis Adams for having all these students at their fingertips to say, hey, you go research this. Hey, you guys built that. Hey, you guys look this up. Hey, you guys work together and you're going to start a business doing that. I'm just sitting there thinking about the possibilities, man. I mean, you guys you just couldn't understand the thoughts that went through my mind as I stood in front of those classes, as I spoke to those Tuskegee students, because I know what to do with the information, y'all. I know how to monetize the information. So when I see students learning things that I can use, like architecture, I'm like, hey, we can go redesign all of of Altadena and Pasadena because they just lost 13,000 plus houses. I just see like that's why we at CCI. I'm excited about what the possibilities of what we're working on. Going in there, and I'm personally going to be able to sit down and do my Dr. Indy and teach some students how to build from the ground up. I'm like, y'all go get me some students. Do y'all know what we can do? Because I'm a student. I'm a student of Gary May and Terry Carter, Ernest House, Robert Closso. These guys set me down and showed me how to do things. And later on, I became the biggest lowrider car builder on the planet. But you know what I think they would like the most? Gary May would love to find out. I know he's up there just smiling while he's passed on. He's an ancestor now. But I think that the most thing they would be the most proud of me of is the fact that I'm sitting in school at Tuskegee University talking about them and helping y'all to continue the legacy. I think that's what Booker T. Washington and Carver, they appreciate that, because coming back home, I think everybody who's accomplished anything after a certain age, it's time to come back home and teach it, if that makes sense.
Awesome. It is, and it does. And I would just, as a final note, we'll share CCI's motto, Culture Centers International, is about remembering the past to understand the present so that we can change the future. So we invite you to come by 118 South Main for the business incubator. Come just check us out, see where you can add, what you can learn. We're planning to set up a podcast studio, again, have fine art and creatives that will help you with websites, logo design, t-shirts. Actually, this is something that an artist made for the history of the 1906 Atlanta Race Massacre. So we'll help you make merchandise for your business. All of those things are all possibilities, and we want to hire students and train them on how to do all of this. So they will be running the incubator.
I think Miss Cheryl has her hand up.
Oh no, I was sending prayer hands because I just love the idea of the incubator and the invite to come forward and get involved in the podcast studio, all those great ideas.
We
salute.
We need help with the students. We need y'all to tell us what kind of businesses. We need y'all to come in and let us know your business ideas and how we can help y'all, because we have plans to build Tuskegee out, to rebuild Tuskegee bigger and better. And we want to make sure you all participate in that. Just like when I was sitting in Dr. Brown's investiture, one thing that touched my heart was he talked about how Booker T wanted to make build the school. He wanted to build a school out of brick that Carver discovered. They can use the dirt to build brick, the mud to build brick. So he said that it didn't work. He kept the thing that he was using to heat up the brick, to make the brick, it kept breaking. It kept going out until eventually he ran out of money. He could have easily contracted someone else out and had them do it, but he wanted the Tuskegee students to do it. So he sold his watch. He sold his watch for a whole $15, I think it was. He said he never got his watch back, but he pawned his personal watch and used that watch to go and make sure that the Tuskegee students kept the money in-house. Everything was made by the students. And I saw that somehow changed. And I'm going to be one of the people that make sure it happens again. I want the students. I want to know about your ideas, your inventions, what you're thinking about working on, no matter how stupid it is or how even if somebody told you it was stupid, I still want to hear it because I know where things go. I know I've had stupid things that became multi-million-dollar industries, y'all. So we need y'all help to know what can we do to regrow Tuskegee? What do we need to build? Anybody got any ideas?
And I want to queue up my pot liquor podcast, just so you all can kind of see what we're anticipating about rebuilding Black Main Street.
not leaving y'all. I'm just going home for a little bit until y'all can help me figure out how to get me a private residence out here so I can come back and forth, you know. So I'm still near y'all. Y'all need me to come out and speak at one of y'all events or conferences, reach out to me. Tell Dr. Candy what's going on or something, you know, because I'm here. I'm here for y'all. I know who y'all are, and I want to make sure y'all succeed.
Welcome
so I will be back and forth.
Podcast with your host, Dr. R.
Am I missing anybody on here? Any of my other friends here? Got an abbreviated name that I can't recognize. Anybody got any more questions, thoughts, ideas?
Okay, TJ?
Yes.
I have my eyes on the clock.
Okay.
And I know we have something that follows in a few minutes. I would just like, if there are no questions, I really want to thank you and appreciate everybody on the call. And especially to my students, I want to say this. You have said many things, and one of the one that is so touching is the fact that the people who want us in what they call our place, they will never show us the way up. But you are here volunteering to show us the way up. And it is up for the students, it is up for us to embrace, to welcome that idea and partner with you to see how we can build, as you say, Tuskegee bigger and better. I want to applaud what you are doing, what you have done, and your example is the kind of example that our young students need to know of, need to see. Because many students, they come to Tuskegee 4 years after they leave with a piece of paper, and they never return to Tuskegee. Wow. But that piece of paper is a piece of paper that would allow them only to get a job. And you are here telling them that if you want to make it big, be an entrepreneur. I'm still waiting, and I tell my students this all the time. Have you ever seen somebody working for another who became a billionaire? That answer is a clear no. And you have made it clear that while you have this expertise, you need their help just as they need your help. You need my help just as I need your help. And I'm not going to tell you a lie. It has been a wonderful pleasure sitting, listening to you talk about this. And I think the message is gotten. I would
I want to say one thing before you end, Dr.
Yes, I'll give you a minute to give us a closing remark.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So I want to applaud you, and I want to thank every other person on the call. And I'll just like to ask, do you have any final remarks for all of those on the call, even those who will be watching this video, because we'll make this video available for posterity? You're coming to Tuskegee. It's not just you talk here and the few who watched you here is done. After this, it will be on YouTube, and we'll make sure, and I'll implore all those on the call, when it is on YouTube and the link is shared to you, please have it go viral, because TJ has a very important message for the Black world. It is not just for the United States. It is for the Black world. And I will just conclude by saying, remember that the problem of a Black man anywhere on earth is the problem of every Black man everywhere on earth. So is the success of any Black man anywhere on earth the success of every Black man everywhere on earth. Thank you. TJ, you have the last word.
I appreciate it. I wanted to say, a lot of us, like Dr. Indy said, they don't come back. I came back. I graduated from high school. I learned how to work on a car in high school at Centennial High School in Compton. So when people ask me, what have you done? My biggest thing that I want to make sure people know is I went back to my high school that I graduated from, and I made sure that they had brand new tools, brand new school. I can brag. That's what I brag about. I brag about the fact that, hey, I went and bought electric cars in the box and dropped it off at the school, and air compressors and hosts. And I went in there and I made my friends come to this school and show their success and what they've done and donate money. And now all of a sudden we have a brand new school. So that's what I brag about when I say I graduated from this school. Teachers got jobs because of me, because of us. It's not just about I graduated from that school and that's it. That's not good enough anymore. No disrespect to anyone, but we got to build, y'all. We shouldn't have teachers struggling and suffering in schools that students are struggling to pay the student loans. We got to start businesses. And when you have a business, you can come back and write checks, not sit around waiting on a grant. That's what I want to say, y'all. We got to raise the bar. Just saying you graduated from Tuskegee is not good enough, because I'm thinking about what Carver did. I'm thinking about what Booker T did. They created a whole $1 billion of industries, y'all. They made a lot of people very wealthy. So that's sitting on y'all shoulders, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. No pressure. Thank you, Dr. Indy.
Thank you very much. And I'll pause the recording and request Dr. Tate to give us